Welcome to the Dave Mierswa Show, the cutting-edge talk show about legal, political, and current issues. Practicing in both Wisconsin and Illinois, David Mierswa is a leading trial attorney bringing nearly 2 decades of business law, family law, personal injury, and estate planning experience to you. The Dave Mierswa Show, about the people, for the people, and bringing justice to the people. The Dave Mierswa Show, its guests, agents, and WRLR are not rendering any legal advice. All listeners are encouraged to seek legal advice from properly licensed and qualified professionals. Welcome to the Dave Mierswa Show. Once again, it is 12 noon on Sunday. You guessed it, time for the Dave Mierswa Show. I'm your host, Dave Mierswa, and it is, again, that time and my privilege to bring you my show here on WRLR out of Round Lake Beach. And for you listeners that were trying to tune in last week, I apologize that I wasn't broadcasting. I was down in Naples, Florida. So even Dave Mierswa has to take a break from radio in this weather. And I tell you, I left at a good time. I literally jumped on a plane and the weather went down to like 5 degrees. So it couldn't have been more perfect timing. You know, it's just fantastic to get out of here. So 10 days down in Florida. It was kind of rainy and stuff like that, but I got to tell you, it was good weather down there. My last day, it got 80 degrees, and I tell you, I was on the beach for about 4 hours, 80 degrees, blue skies, and I woke up this morning, 3 a.m., had to jump on the flight back here, and I couldn't bring myself to take a look at the phone and see the temperature, and I saw 4 degrees, and it just kind of made me sick coming back. But hey, you know what? I got a lot of sun down there. I got a lot of vitamin D. I got a lot of energy to bring you the show today. So for my show today, I'm going to be talking about 2016 predictions, both socially, politically, and legally. And this is probably going to be more on the political side than the legal side, but there are some legal issues. So, we had the State of the Union address that took place a week ago. I don't know if you listened to that, but if I got time, if I don't have time towards the end of the show, I'll talk about that next week. And then also, we had the recent debate. We are about 14 or 15 days out before the Iowa caucus. So, that in itself is going to be amazing. And I don't know if you watched the Republican debate, but finally, we had some fireworks with all of the candidates, especially between Trump and Senator Ted Cruz. That was awesome. Trump brought up that Ted Cruz was born out of country and all that. And then Ted Cruz talked about the values of Trump being from New York. So let's play my first audio clip on that very topic.
You know, I think most people know exactly what New York values are.
I am from New York.
Well, you're from New York, so you might not. But I promise you, the state of South Carolina, they do. And listen, there are many, many wonderful, wonderful working men and women in the state of New York. But everyone understands that the values in New York City are socially liberal or pro-abortion or pro-gay marriage, focused around money and the media. And I guess I can frame it another way. Not a lot of conservatives come out of Manhattan. I'm just saying.
Conservatives actually do come out of Manhattan, including William F. Buckley and others, just so you understand. New York is a great place. It's got great people. It's got loving people, wonderful people. When the World Trade Center came down, I saw something that no place on earth could have handled more beautifully, more humanely than New York. You had 2 110-story buildings come crashing down. I saw them come down. And we saw more death and even the smell of death. Nobody understood it, and it was with us for months. The smell, the air, and we rebuilt downtown Manhattan, and everybody in the world watched, and everybody in the world loved New York and loved New Yorkers, and I have to tell you, that was a very insulting statement that Ted made.
So that was the go-between Cruz and Trump. And I gotta say, I thought the comments about New York City and 9/11, out of respect for New Yorkers, we all feel a sense of coming together during that time. During those terrorist attacks, we came together as a nation. And yes, the liberal left actually stopped bashing Bush for about 2 weeks. And, everyone forgets about how badly they used to, all the jokes, with Bush. And then, you know what I saw on Facebook the other day? I saw some Facebook ad out there that was blaming Bush for something. So, some of my predictions that are going to happen in 2016 are going to be blaming Bush. They're going to go back to blaming Bush because God knows that they can't take a look at their own policies and hold themselves accountable. So that's one of the first things that they're going to continue to do. Also, there is going to be, for 2016, I think the main candidates, we started out with like 17 or 18 Republican candidates, which in itself was just overwhelming. It was kind of the joke with the left. Like, how many Republicans does it take to find a nominee? Apparently it was like 18. But going forward, I've been watching all the debates, and after the last debate, I'm going to make a prediction that sooner or later that it's going to come down to 3 candidates. And those 3 candidates are, you know that Trump is around to stay. Trump is not going anywhere. The media kept saying that Trump jumped the shark there, Trump jumped the shark there, but he's going to stay right where he's at the top, barring some really unforeseen event. And they tried slamming him big time. They tried to downgrade him, and part of his charm, the senator, or actually the governor from South Carolina gave the speech right after the State of the Union address, and she tried to slam Trump for being too angry. And here's what the Republican base out in Washington is afraid of. They are afraid of Trump, and they are afraid of the Trump supporters. And here's the funny part of this, that the left media and the left supporters and just the center, the left of the center, are recognizing before the Republican foundation out in Washington did. They recognized that Trump is here to stay. They were making fun of Trump, and I got to say, I admittedly thought Trump was just on an entertainment value, get his name back out. I thought he was going to release a new Apprentice series. I really thought, or he was going to dig down with a new series come out, some reality show. But he's here to stay. He is here to stay. And before the Republican base out in Washington recognizes that, the left media has started to admit that Trump has power. His power grows every day. And if you Google, go on Google and go to YouTube and take a look at his conventions that he has. It is packed room to room, and they are turning down thousands and thousands and thousands of people wherever he goes. And they just had another event that had capacity of 12,000, and 20,000 people showed up in this hick town. So this is real. And people like Trump, they are not going anywhere. Also, they talked about that the voters aren't going to come out and vote. I beg to differ. One of my other predictions is going to be in the Iowa caucus. These people that are coming out to see Trump, they are angry. They have had it. They have had it with the left. They have had it with the right. They've certainly had it with all of the propaganda that is being put out by our president. If you didn't take the time to listen to the State of the Union address, I'm going to be putting on my website transcripts of what he actually said, because I fell asleep during half of it. I had to go back to YouTube and watch it. He really put me to sleep. But I suggest you take a look at that, and go to YouTube and hear the video on it. And it went on and on and on and on and on. And then Christie, he said during the last Republican debate that it was really the state of denial. I thought that was pretty good. So Christie from New Jersey said it was the state of denial address, which, you got to highlight things, but he really, in his last year, you're going to see the president. You thought that he was out of touch in reality in the last 7 years. In 2016, he is going to triple down on all the things that he's been doing. He's going to triple down, and it's going to get worse. So buckle in and wait for him and what he's going to do. He's got nothing to lose. So not only is he going to double down, he's going to triple down, he's going to quadruple down, and he's literally going to keep on the same lines of what he's going to be doing. And I'm going to talk about some of the other things that is going to be happening in 2016 political scene. But one of the things that I'm also going to predict is that Hillary Clinton is going to take all of the Obama, all the things that he's been doing for the last 7 years and his 8 years, she's going to highlight that, and then she's going to go even more left. So you thought that she was crazy and left. She is going to turn even more left because she's losing her base. If you take a look at her ratings are way down. And back in 2008, when she ran, she's way below at that point, and she tanked. So she's even way below at that point. So let's move on to some other predictions here. Let's hear what Ann Coulter has to say about 2016 predictions.
Political commentator, syndicated columnist, Ann Coulter, her latest book, Adios America. The Trump polls show him, they're actually
Killing.
He's doing exactly that. But we're seeing Governor Walker, we're seeing John Kasich, Ted Cruz. I mean, there are a group of people starting to huddle up there and create truly a top tier. Is he going to be able to maintain this position, in your judgment, with a significant lead?
Well, the ones you mentioned as huddling in the top really are kind of huddling at the bottom of the top tier. It's amazing what Trump is doing in the polls. It is not to be discounted. I keep seeing people say on TV, oh, well, at this point in other elections, Howard Dean was winning, or
it's the sort of thing that people say when that's not their candidate at the top.
Well, I looked it up because I kind of vaguely remembered something like that, and very early on, like 2 years before an election, before anyone is announced. Yes, there are wild card candidates. Once candidates have announced, these polls are totally meaningful. They may not pan out, but do not poo-poo these polls. And I went back and I looked at before the 2012 election to see what polls and when was Herman Cain and Michelle Bachmann and the rest. No, it would be one tiny little straw poll, and everyone was so excited because Romney, who had been dominating on all the polls, was losing one tiny straw poll of only Republican leaders in Iowa, for example. Kaine, I think, did it in Florida. So this is very impressive, and I think there is absolutely no question that it is because of immigration. It is not just that he is straight talk. If it were straight talk, Chris Christie would be at the top. John McCain would be at the top.
What did you think
because
of
of his
Chris Christie
position.
getting into it with Rand Paul? By the way, Donald Trump saying today after Rand Paul insulted him again, you know, it's sort of what the people do in the consumer product business. Whoever the leader is, that's the one everyone else goes after and wants them to take notice.
That's true, but another thing they do is... Anyway, you look at the leader and you imitate them.
Right.
Imitate him, Republicans.
Anyway, Trump said, this is worth me finishing, I assure you, said he's headed up to here. I thought it was an interesting...
That is funny.
With Rand Paul.
Man, he has good insults.
So, as we watch this, I mean, he's not... Everyone's trying to, not everyone, but nearly every candidate's trying to insult him so they can get his notice so that he can put their name out there. And I think he's being more judicious in the way in which he responds.
Well, it's not just that. They're doing that so that they can get the donor money. I mean, we really are seeing with Trump a separation of the mice from the men here. It is immigration. Republicans have refused to respond to voters, as have Democrats, I might add, on the burning hatred of immigration in this country. Trump comes along and does it. And as I was saying, the other thing you do when one product is ahead is you imitate the iPhone. You imitate a late-night TV show. Why won't they imitate him? Why? Because they are controlled by the big donors. And that is obvious to people on the issue of immigration.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I hesitate to think, though, about having a field of billionaires who are beholden to no one.
Just say what the voters want.
That disturbs me. Bernie
what
Sanders,
they want.
I want to turn quickly to Bernie Sanders and Clinton. Senator Sanders is now ahead in New Hampshire. She is not ahead in a caucus state or early primary state. I mean, that's got to be, they've got to be going nuts over there at the campaign headquarters.
Well, I wish Fox News would go a little easier on Hillary Clinton. She's the one we want to run against. Could you guys just back off? Because I feel like I'm living through this.
Barely mentioned.
I feel like this is deja vu again. We used to say, oh, the next president isn't going to be a guy named Barack Hussein Obama. Our next president could be Bernie Sanders if you people keep this up.
I respect your judgment in many areas, and politics certainly among them, but we are kind of beholden to inform our audience when a former Secretary of State is accused of sending top secret emails.
Oh, it doesn't have to lead the news. You don't have to keep chattering about it. We love Hillary. She's a terrible candidate. I want Donald Trump running against Hillary.
And so there you've heard it from Ann Coulter herself. Ann, thanks a lot for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so that was well-known author and radio host and TV host Ann Coulter. She predicted that it was going to be Hillary and Trump for 2016. So I'm not going to make a huge prediction on the Democratic side, but I do know that everyone discounted Bernie Sanders, and every time I see this guy out in public, his hair, it looks like he just came from a windstorm, and he's always disheveled. And this guy, he always has like this undercurrent, like rage. And, but everyone discounted him, but he's resonating with the left. This guy is an admitted socialist communist. And there's a video out there that you can go to YouTube. And one of the interviews with Hillary, someone asked her to explain the difference between being a progressive Democrat and a socialist. And she did her laugh, and I'm not going to even try to imitate that. I gotta bring that on. Every time she does that laugh, it goes right through my spine, with her laugh. But she couldn't do it, and she was talking, and then she did her laugh, and then she didn't answer it. She ended up going on to something else, and then she laughed it off. And it's a pretty serious matter. These listeners want to know what's the difference between Hillary and Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, who is an admitted communist. And think of where we've been in the 50s till today. You got an admitted socialist communist who is taking the lead in a lot of the polls. He has matched, statistically, it's a dead heat between Hillary and Bernie Sanders. Crazy Bernie Sanders is statistically matching Hillary Clinton. It's unbelievable. And I first met this guy, he kind of reminded me of Ross Perot. And Ross Perot had this admiral. If you guys remember back, and go to YouTube on this, there was an admiral that he appointed for vice president. And this guy would come online and he would come on video and he would lose his place. And then the guy, he couldn't put two sentences together, and he was just an embarrassment. And it was almost like, someone falling asleep at the helm. And they tried to interview him, and his hair was all like messed up. And that's who I first thought of when I saw Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders is taking the lead above Hillary Clinton. It's just unbelievable. So one of my predictions is that Bernie Sanders is going nowhere. He is going nowhere. He is going to stay in the lead or be right against Hillary all the way up until the end, and until they make a final decision. And he's got enough chance to, I don't know enough at this point to make a complete prediction, but I believe Hillary, her campaign has really been hurting. And then also when Cruz made the comments about New York, she asked for an apology. And all these liberals out in New York came and asked for an apology and all this. And then Rudy Giuliani said that he wanted an apology. Are you kidding me? Is this a playground out there? But I gotta love what Ted Cruz said. And Ted Cruz said that, yeah, I apologize for all the overtaxing, for all of you hardworking blue-collar workers out of New York. I apologize for all of the lost jobs that you've been experiencing out in New York. I apologize for all the liberal behaviors that has ruined the New York economy. Great comeback. So, I know Cruz has taken a play out of the playbook from Trump. Trump never apologizes, and if he makes a statement, he double downs on it. Like when they said that he was too angry. Trump, you're a very angry individual. And Trump said at the last debate that he's angry. And he feels the angry of all Americans. And on some of my shows, I've talked about, and I've expressed this anger and this frustration that we're feeling. And Trump not only recognized it, he ran with it. And instead of, and they're not going to shut him down. He is a master of taking heat, and then he turns it around and he shoves it right back in their face. And then the media, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. And Trump is a master of it. And he's only going to get sharper, and he's only going to get more crisp on his attacks. And this is a no-brainer. Part of the predictions for 2016, it's going to come down to 3 candidates. And I wrote it down, and this will get recorded. So if I'm wrong, you can give me heat. But the 3 Republican candidates that are going to end up taking this all the way to the end, of course, it's going to be Trump. All the way from the beginning, they were mocking Trump and all that and all his supporters. And get this, folks. They are predicting the 20 to 25% of the Democratic base is now looking at voting for Trump. Kind of serious now, isn't it? They were making fun of him and all this. 20% of the Democratic base could possibly vote for Trump. They're thinking about it because they've had it. They've had it with all of the lies and all of the propaganda that we've been hearing from the left for the last 7 years coming out of the White House. And all of his administrative group, all his little administrative people that he put into power. They're all sick of it. And even the left is now screaming. And they're looking for an outsider. So here's what I predict. All of the outsiders are going to win in 2016. So that means Ted Cruz. It's going to mean Trump is going to be at the top, and it's going to be Ted Cruz and Rubio. Rubio is also going to remain at the top. And you know who's going to come along kicking and screaming? Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush is going to come along kicking and screaming. And he just got endorsed. I don't even want to say it. He got endorsed by someone, you can look it up on the news, out of the East Coast. But yeah, he was endorsed. And he's going to stick around. He's got some money, but he's not going to go anywhere. Everyone is tired of the insiders. Everyone is tired of the Clintons. Everyone is tired of the Bushes. And, you know, poor Jeb, he's not going to go away. Unfortunately, we wish he would just go away, but he's not going to. He'll hang in there almost until the very end. And also Chris Christie. Chris Christie is going to remain in there because he thinks he's got a strong following out in the East Coast. They're going to stick around, but the top three contenders are going to be Trump, Cruz, and Rubio. Okay, those are my top three picks. I've been listening to a lot of talk shows and so forth. That seems to be the consensus. And the main factor that we're going to look at, that most Americans are looking at, is that they are truly outsiders. And they fight back. They fight back. They're not afraid to say exactly what's on their mind, and they fight back. And that's another thing that Americans are so tired of, is apologizing for being Americans. And we saw just what happened this last week. Iran took over, was 12 or 18 sailors, and they embarrassed them on international TV. And our president said nothing. Our president said nothing. Here's another prediction I'm going to do for 2016. This will happen about 6 months from now. Iran is going to violate. Let me repeat this. Iran is going to violate the treaty that President Obama shoved down our throats and was not approved by Congress. He shoved that down our throats along with John Kerry. And John Kerry, this is the worst deal you could ever get. And the American public forgets. We went through this. Remember Bill Clinton? Remember Bill Clinton had the same structured deal with North Korea. And what did North Korea explode 3 weeks ago? And they claimed, right, that's right, it was an H-bomb. They claimed it was an H-bomb. It wasn't. But they have nuclear bombs. North Korea has nuclear bombs. And this is the same deal that our president made with Iran. They just released $150 billion to Iran. This is going to be a hotbed topic because guess what? You're going to see a huge increase and a huge flare-up in terrorism sponsored by Iran. They got nothing to lose. We gave them $150 billion back. They took our sailors hostage for 24 hours. And our president said nothing about it. He even highlighted that we're becoming better friends with Iran. Are you kidding me? They're still our sworn enemy. And here's another thing. You're going to see a huge uptick with Iran and terrorism. Iranian-sponsored terrorism is going to increase.